street musicians, buskers, restaurants and shops. This area, might I add, it would be one of the more expensive areas to shop around the city. Turning left onto Nassau Street, coming up here on the left, you will find the Trinity College entrance to the Douglas Hyde Gallery. Douglas Hyde was the first president of the Republic of Ireland. This is also the stop for the shopping complex known as the Kilkenny Shops, and it's also the stop for Cadair Street. And on Cadair Street you will find the front entrance to our House of Parliament, Dáil, Ireland, housing 166 TDs, Chop the Dáil, which simply means MP. Beside that you will find the National Library, and across the road there is a house, number 30 Cadair Street. It was once the bachelor apartment of Bram Stoker, the author of Dracula. Now stop number 3 here, Nassau Street. And the next stop will be stop number 4. Anybody wanting to visit the National Gallery, built as a testimonial to a man by the name of Sir William Dargan, born in County Carlow here in Ireland. He was a railway engineer, and he was responsible for the first passenger railway system in the world, which was then known as the Dublin to Kingstown. Nowadays it would be known as the DART system, the Dublin Area Rapid Transit. It was electrified in the late 80s. That's Cadair Street to your right. Now he made a fortune building railways, and he also lost a fortune building them. He died in poverty here in Dublin. This is stop number 4. The National Gallery is on the opposite side of the road, just beyond the traffic lights to your right. Now inside of the gallery there are famous paintings from all the European artists, including an Irish Caravaggio. And also in there you'll find the statue of George Bernard Shaw. I'm sure you might be wondering to yourselves, what's old George doing inside of the gallery? But George had little or no education. He didn't attend school that often, and he spent most of his time in or around the gallery. The little education that he did have, he attributes to that fact. He wrote the play Pygmalion, which later became My Fair Lady. And just here on the right, you'll find the entrance to the National Gallery. In a few moments I will point out to you the Irish American University College here in Dublin. It was once the home of Oscar Wilde, famous poet, playwright and dramatist, born in 1854 to Sir William Wilde, distinguished Dublin surgeon, and Lady Speranza, an aspiring writer. His famous works were The Picture of Dorian Gray, 1891, A Woman of No Importance, and The Importance of Being Earnest, as well as poems like The Ballad of Reading Jail, 1898, which he wrote while serving a 2-year sentence. He was arrested in the spring of 1895 and sentenced to jail with hard labour. On his release from prison, Wilde moved to France, where he lived out his last 3 years under an assumed name. He died alone in a Parisian hotel. And just beyond the corner there to the left is the Irish American University College, and that's where Oscar once lived with his parents. We're turning right now onto one of the Georgian squares here in Dublin. There are 5 in total. 3 on this side of the city, which is the south side, Merrion Square, Fitzwilliam Square and St. Stephen's Green. And on the north side there are 2, Mountjoy Square and Parnell Square. If you look in behind the railings here to your left, you should be able to make out a statue of Oscar Wilde lying back in there on the rock. This is stop number 5, Merrion Square. across to the right hand side there, you will find some of the Georgian houses dating back to the time of the 4 kings. They were named George. At that time this country was under British rule. You will notice the granite steps leading up to the hall doors, and above the hall doors you will notice the windows. They get smaller as they reach the top of the buildings. Now the reason for this being was, in those days they were taxed on the amount of light that entered the buildings. It was known as the daylight robbery tax. That's the back of the National Gallery to your right. Here on the right is the back entrance to our House of Parliament. And this building over here on your right is the National History Museum. That's where you'll find most of the stuffed animals. Known to us here in Dublin as the Dead Zoo. Admission is free. Anybody wanting to visit it, this is your stop number 6, Readiness Street. Now behind the black railings over here on the right hand side, you will find the offices of Untitled. Untitled here in this country simply means chief. Our Prime Minister is a man by the name of Enda Kenny. Black hall door immediately here to your left, 22 Mornington Terrace. That was the birthplace of a man by the name of Arthur Weasley. He was once the Duke of Wellington. He defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo, the only Dublin-born person to ever become Prime Minister of Great Britain. Now the next stop will be stop number 7, St. Stephen's Green. It's also the stop for the St. Stephen's Green Shopping Centre. The top end of Grafton Street, Dawson Street, Cadair Street, and the Fitzwilliam and Shelborne Hotels. Now St. Stephen's Green Park here ahead of us once belonged to a man by the name of Lord Ardilaun, member of the well-known Guinness family. We'll be passing by the Guinness Brewery later on the tour. Now he gave that park the Dublin City Council, and they turned it into a public park. It has lovely ponds, flower gardens. There's also a garden of flowers that is made of braille for the blind. Here to my right hand side is the Shelborne Hotel. Well-known people who stayed there down through the years. The late John F. Kennedy and his wife, Prince Rainier and Princess Grace of Monaco. Coming up now to stop number 7. Head of the bus up there, the building with the glass roof, is the St. Stephen's Green Shopping Centre. Across the road is the top end of Grafton Street. And this turn here to my right is Dawson Street. Stop number 7.